Today's episode offers a profound story experienced by an already accomplished woman to remind you of your strength, your inner guidance, and the truth you already carry. My guest, Melanie Ramone, had everything in place to participate in a dynamic spiritual retreat, hoping to find her community, deepen her spiritual practice, and expand the wisdom she already held. But instead of guidance and belonging, she encountered something far more unexpected: a retreat leader who manipulated the group through gaslighting, spiritual bypassing, and covert manipulation. As a retreat participant, she was expected to adapt and go along with the group, and that's where her story turns, because what was meant to diminish her power actually led her straight back to it. In the midst of confusion, pressure, and mixed messages, she discovers the voice she can trust above all others, her own. Her intuition grows louder than the group dynamic. Her body speaks clearer than any teacher. And what began as a spiritual detour becomes a profound awakening. You had the answers all along. In this episode, we explore how to listen deeply to your inner knowing, how your body communicates truth, and how every woman can reclaim her authority, even in spaces that claim to be spiritual. This is a story of awakening, embodiment, and remembering who you are. Let's dive in to this incredible episode. Welcome back to Mystical Sisterhood. Thanks for joining us today. If you are a return listener, welcome back and thanks for being here with us. I know that many of you are here from week to week, and I have so much gratitude for that. So thank you. And if you're a new listener, welcome. You're in for a treat today. You're joining on just a beautiful episode. And I just wanted to say a big welcome to you. So let me secondly say that today I'm sitting down with Melanie Ramone for our second time together. Mel and I met through Alicia Isaac's house many months ago. I didn't know exactly how many. And Mel, you joined me on episode 122, which at the time I called the new paradigm of business, subconscious alchemy and creating your soul legacy. And so to the listener, if you haven't checked that one out, it's a great, great conversation. But since that time, you and I joined together when you held what you called Holy Sovereigns Mastermind this past summer. And I got to be in sort of the virtual classroom with you and experience the magic that you are. And it allowed me to go many levels into myself and see a bit about the subconscious blocks that are holding me back. And I love how you say in your work that you don't do surface. And I think that was absolutely true. So thank you for that experience. And today, we're going to sit down and talk. This was deliberate, intentional of, hey, let's meet and discuss an experience, a big experience you had last year that really spanned many months. It culminated in a trip, a journey overseas, yet it was a retreat you experienced that went south, that went sideways, that was full of what you had called covert manipulation and instilling a lot of fears into the people who had joined on the retreat. And it's really, instead of being a podcast today about all the nitty gritty of what had happened and each detail, it's going to be some of the walking us through what you experienced. And it's less about, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened and how terrible it was and all the drama. I think you talk about drama a lot, and the drama we can make things, but more an accurate sharing of what you experienced and, more importantly, what you learned from it every step of the way. So I will just say that backdrop and say welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. It's such a blast being with you. You're amazing. So
Thank you.
grateful. I
Yeah.
could not think of anybody but you to share this because many have asked me to share about that experience. And it was until I met you that I said, she,
Mm.
she's the
Yes.
one.
And I'm so honored, and I don't usually shine that light on myself. So I'm like, oh, I'll take that to heart. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And I think that today too is like it's a slowing down of telling the story. I'll say that we met a week ago, and I think we spent about 3 hours on a Zoom. And I listened to all the different parts of your experience and all the tangentials. And that is our life, all everything that came before it that created the scenario. I think that one of the things when I was reviewing my notes was one of the things we ended with last week is we're drawn to this sort of thing based on the wounds that we have or the things we need to heal. So we can kind of leave that for a little bit later, but I first wanted to have you share if there was something that you wanted to name at the outset of our discussion as what you would hope a listener would walk away with today. What would that be?
I would think a jump to freedom would be what I would like the listeners to embrace in their hearts, because it is only the prisons are only in our hearts and in our minds. Once we let them go and see another perspective and we take the shackles that we put ourselves into, then we liberate ourselves. And we have the key to do that. And we have the power in our hands. So I think that's amazing to know, right? Like it's so easy to, Mom, liberate me from
Yes,
whatever happens to me, right? Because it's happening
absolutely.
for me, not
Mhm,
to me.
mhm.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I love that. I love that. And you shared with me a video that was taken at the end of the sort of aftermath of this retreat experience of you celebrating that liberation and jumping off of a boat with just, you could hear it in your voice. There was just an elevation and, just having gotten through such a difficult, challenging time. But then having this, was it a feeling inside of you? Was it an expansion that you experienced?
I felt proud. I felt
Mm,
so proud of myself. Like I got myself through that experience and I was there alive, breathing, enjoying because nobody can take my joy away from me. So
yes.
even after that, can I say shitty on podcast? Well, you can
Yes.
bleep it out. But that shitty experience, which eventually became one of the greatest experiences of my life, I felt proud of myself. Like, oh my God, wow, I did it. I'm still standing. I am standing in joy. I'm happy. Like I was loyal to me.
Yeah.
I belonged to myself. I stepped out. So I was very happy and I was like just like freedom.
Oh my gosh. Yes, and so I one of the questions I asked you last week when because it was new, I had known some of the experience, but I wanted to know more. And, maybe it's walking back a few months from when you went to this retreat, but what was it that attracted you, that kind of drew you in, that made you feel there's something here that I want to know more about? Because I think many people who are listening, they're across all walks of life, but many, I think, are women who have been in the coaching industry, let's say, or in industries that there probably are many across many industries that's like, what's the next I'm going to learn? I've got, you're voracious. I want to know more. But what attracted you to this teacher, these teachings?
What attracted me to the person, I think it was the reflection of what I wanted for my future. So what she was selling is what I desired for me.
Mm,
And my first approach, because I think that once you know, right? It's very fast and it's easy and it flows. So for me, it was like I saw content. I was like, oh, she knows her thing, And so I contacted her, and then she saw me.
mm,
Whether it was that she stalked my social media or anything, I I I actually lied to her on the messages, and she said, "Well, I don't see that. I see this and that and that." And I was
mm,
like, "Whoa, she sees me." So I didn't know back then that it was so important for me to be seen in that
mm,
way because
Mhm.
I'm a speaker. I'm very famous in my industry, so I was seen in a way. I got the accolades and I got the applause and da 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 da, but I didn't felt seen.
Okay. So it felt like
And
it feels like it was like a deeper level or a
yes,
more
like
expansive
the
level of being
real
seen.
me, not the
Yeah.
the persona me, right?
Mm.
So,
Mhm.
and then when I was inside her world, I was curious, like, how does this person manage a retreat? Like, because I was in this journey of embodiment of who I wanted to be and this new next phase of my life, that I was like, oh, I am curious how she behaves, how she talks, how she manages things, right?
Yes.
So that pulled me into buying also
Mhm.
this retreat, this experience, and also the promise of meeting not like-minded, but like other women that were also in the frequency or the level of spiritual awareness that I wanted. Like, I wanted to meet peers that I could talk to and, have friends and not be weird for people or be considered like unreachable or something like that. Like, I wanted someone to like, oh, let's go grab coffee and da 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 without feeling weird or, you know.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that was what attracted me to her and what attracted me to buying this retreat experience.
And can I ask you too, I know last week you shared about how something in it caught your ear and you thought like, "What is this language they're using?" And that they were using language maybe like ascension or timeline shifts or sort of what can be, yes, actual things, but also can be a spiritual container. And I think that that's an important sort of topic to put in here too, because there was something there that was in like, okay, wow, what are they saying over there? I'm super curious.
Yeah, what the thing is that because I thought I was changing my reality in sort sense, I thought that I was a rookie in the spiritual world. So I was like, what is that word? What is that word? Like, oh, that makes sense, but what does that word mean? So
Yeah.
I was attracted to the unknown of the word.
Mhm.
And that made me think that I was a rookie in the spiritual world, which
Yes.
once I was inside, I was like, wait a minute. This is just like, the example that I told you, like,
Mhm.
oh, it's a bed of corn, circular corn blended with chicken, da, da, da. It's a taco, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
it's just a taco. You're just making it fancy. You can price it more, it's the
Mhm.
positioning. I'm all about branding. Okay, I get it. But that made me think that like, oh, I don't know. And I
Right.
would see my behavior in masterminds or circles like that I would like be like, oh, I'm going to shut up because I am the new one. I'm the rookie. People know more. And then I was like, wait a minute. No. Like,
Mhm, mhm.
mm.
I love that. I love that because I can see since I got to know you almost a year after this all occurred that you would not it had really informed the way you teach because I loved your example last week of even this new language of a timeline shift or a jumping timeline. When you walked away, that sounded like new language, but then you walked away and you're like, "Oh, I've actually been doing that my whole life," or this is can you say, just what that looks like in different language maybe? Mhm,
Yes, like
mhm,
timeline shift is only a freaking decision. I
uh-huh,
make a decision that enough is enough. And then I decide that from now on, I am not going to tolerate this shit and that shit, and da, 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 da. And you make a list and you're intentional. That moment that you decide, boom, it's like your timeline shifts. It's like Waze.
mhm,
You know Waze? Okay,
mhm.
so if there's a roadblock, Waze recalculates
Oh,
the
yeah. Mhm.
the path so that
Right.
you get a new road without the roadblock. Or
Yes.
if you pass an exit, which could be an opportunity, then ways recalculate so that you can get the next exit and then get to your destination. So for me, that is the timeline shift.
Mhm,
Once you
mhm.
decide that you're not going to tolerate certain things, your standard goes up. And then immediately it's like the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is like, oh, now she's serious. Let's give
Mhm.
her the opportunities, the road, the
Right.
recalculation. It's like the recalculation because your reality changes once you decide that you're no longer going to tolerate certain things or that you're no longer going to stay in that situation because it is in you just
Yes.
decide, right?
Right,
And then
right.
because you decide and you're intentional, it's like you start saying no to things that you don't want to do because first you were a people pleaser or you wanted to avoid conflict or whatever it is. And then it's like I don't give a f. I if they get mad at me, I don't care. I
Mhm.
will do what fits me. And then you start behaving in different ways because of your decision, because
Yeah.
you decided enough is enough. Da, 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 da. So that's it, like timeline shifting. Yeah, it sounds like very, ooh, like very Prada thing, but
Mhm.
it's the same shoes, like
And I love the examples you just gave because I think the listener can really relate to that. I'm thinking about myself and in incremental decisions I make that just shift me. They just shift me. And when I say yes to something and so when you're talking timeline shifts too, and you mentioned frequency at the top of our conversation, when we're making timeline shifts, just as an aside question, are we entering a different frequency band, would you say?
I think it's the emotion that creates the frequency within us. If I am doing something because it makes me super happy and I am eager to serve the person with my own medicine, then it's just easy. And then I vibrate this frequency
Right.
of joy and I expand through that frequency because it's
Yeah.
in my energy. It's like, let me give you an example. When I was in college, and my parents couldn't afford my college. I had to, wait for a savior to come and magically pay my college and my tuition and whatever, or start working so that I could afford staying in that, you know, I loved what I was studying, so there was no option for me but to find a way to get the money to finish my studies.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
if I would have gone to clean toilets, I would have been very, very sad. I don't like cleaning toilets. Not that it's wrong, I just don't like it, right?
Mhm.
But I would be frustrated and then I would be like, oh, I have to do this because nobody's helping me, no, no, no. And with this attitude and that lowers the frequency of, my own joy,
Mhm.
right? I went to not clean toilets, but clean tables because I was the helper of the helper of the helper being a waitress. And I remember they started paying me 30 euros per night. So that was
Okay.
nothing like living in that city where I used to live. But I was like, I was complaining at the beginning, so that was not joyful. But then I was like, hey, but I get to eat and I get to eat really good food and the music is good and that. So I started changing my behavior and the way I felt by going to be a waitress, right?
Mhm.
And I knew that it was temporary, but that is the thing. Like, oh, I was dancing and I was enjoying and I was actually listening to the customers what they wanted. I would say my truth, like, oh, this chicken is really good and this chocolate brownie with da. And they would see it in my face, so it was
Yes.
easy for me to sell, right? So
Okay,
that is
right.
for me the frequency, the energy that you put into things by the
Yeah,
emotion that
yeah,
you're putting on what you're doing.
yeah, I like that. That's
Yes.
a good example. Beautiful. Okay, so getting back to retreat story 2, you shared with me that prior to leaving, some I'll just call them red flags, but some things happened that had you begin to question, "Hmm, what is this about?" And I thought that that was important because we're talking about gut feelings or intuitions or inner knowings. And so many of us were led away from that during our upbringing. So we're really learning to hone in on what is my body telling me or what am I receiving. But, do you want to share what some of those red flags were and how you responded to them?
Yeah. Well, there were red flags, but I didn't see them as red flags. But
Mhm.
my body was communicating with me and I was sort of listening. So what happened was I suggested, because I could see, I consider myself a savvy businesswoman. So I was like, oh, this can be better and this can be optimized in this way, da 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 da. And she can have more time and she can have da da da. This is what she keeps saying that she desires, and I am all about getting the desires of my clients to reality, right? That's my genius. Like, oh, you desire that, boom, boom, a magic wand.
Mhm.
So because I cared for this woman, I was like, oh, this is so easy for me. I can see it. So I told her, hey, I saw some things for your business. Would you like me to share it with you? And she said, just because it's you, I will allow it. So I was like, okay. And the moment she said it, I was like, why the F did I say that? Now I have to do a PDF and now I have to da 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 because I cannot just tell her to go into a Zoom and I would just tell her like, oh, that gave me more work. Anyway, I did the PDF, I sent it to her, and the next day she replied. And of course, at the beginning of the email, she said, you're required to be in your leadership energy, which I completely did not see that line. And
Mhm.
I suggest you to be in that energy before you read the email. I
Hmm.
I didn't see it. Maybe that's also part of the protection of you don't see it so that you get the visceral reaction. So, long story short, I start reading the email and then I got this feeling in my throat like I want to cry, but I don't cry. I hold it because I was about to go on a Zoom meeting with a friend. And then she pops up, da da da. I started talking to her and I said, like, I have this feeling, I like it's sadness. Can I read it to you? And then I started reading to her the email, and then I start crying like a baby. That's a visceral reaction. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. This email is not that bad so that I get this visceral reaction. The only way that I get that kind of crying is with my mom. When I was a
Huh.
little child, and
Mhm.
my mom would get mad at me and she would not, and she would ignore me, the silent treatment. And then I would be like, Mommy, Mommy, please, please talk to me, yell at me, or hit me, whatever, but please don't ignore me. And I was like, this is not normal. Why would I get that reaction from my mentor?
Mhm.
And that was like, wait a minute. I'm going to dissect the email so I get back to my center and I don't make it about her
Okay.
because this is about me. So the
Mhm.
juice of my crying is for me, right? So I go and dissect and I was like, no, this is not true. I didn't do this. No, I did not. No, 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 no. It was like, no, 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 no. And then I was like, this feels like gaslighting.
Yeah.
But I didn't make it anything about her because, it was like, I've been gaslighted before by people who don't intend to be gaslighters.
Mhm.
So I was like, it's okay. I even texted back like I am taking it as with the leadership energy, blah blah blah, because I know it's intended lovingly.
Okay.
Now I laugh, right?
Right,
Um,
right.
and
Yeah.
then she replies, I am so happy that you're taking it like that, moi.
Mm.
But basically she was like, please clean this energy before we meet in da 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 da, the
Mhm.
destination of the retreat. So there was a little bit of like, oh, I need to clean my energy in order to be in her space.
Wow. Mhm.
that was implanted in my head, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
which which I do because not for her or not for anybody, but for me, like I want to be in the right state of mind,
Right.
especially if I'm
Right.
spending a lot of
Yes.
money to do a
Yes.
gathering, right?
And at this point too, she's still your mentor. Like you said, this
Yes.
letter's from my mentor, she's from my teacher. So
Yes.
you're getting these really loud visceral reactions. And so that was just prior to you leaving. Did you say anyone? You shared with a friend? Yeah.
No, I did not. Only with my husband,
Okay.
because he saw me crying and I couldn't explain to him. And he was like, "This is not good that you're crying with your mentor's email."
Right. Right.
And he did look at me and it's like, "You're not excited to go. You haven't packed."
That's right.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I don't know why I cannot pack." Like my body stopped me from packing.
Hmm.
And then my business partner was like, "You were so excited to go, and now I don't see you excited. What's happening?" And I'm like, "I don't know." So
Mhm.
my body knew that there was something wrong. My body didn't want to go, but there was a part of me that was like, "You gotta go because you spend a lot of money in there."
Yeah.
Right?
Right. I'm just thinking of all the things we do to ourselves when we've made a commitment and
Yes.
we can't give
And
ourselves permission. Yeah.
here's a very good point of reference because it is in the cap of our mind what we consider good to dismiss or not.
Mhm.
Because a couple of weeks before, I did not attend an event that I paid for 1 year earlier. I
Mm.
had the flight, I had the Airbnb, I had everything covered. And I was like, no, I'm not going. But it was like 3K. So in
Mhm.
my head, it was like, okay to lose that money. But this new quantity was like 10 times
Yes.
more.
Right.
So I was like, oh, no, no, you gotta go. That's a lot
Wow.
of money for you to
Yeah.
waste money, right?
Ooh, these are timelines. These are timeline
Yeah,
shifts.
right?
You decided to
Exactly.
go that way. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
and by the way, now that you're talking about timelines, because I was on the timeline that I'm on my 9-figure timeline, right? In this holy sovereign self that is unapologetic and knows what her magic does and all these things, right? So I am asking for this to the universe. So what does the universe send me? The dumb this experience because I require those codes that we will talk about because of what I asked.
Right, right.
So even if it looks like, oh, this was a horrible, horrible experience, at the end it was like, oh, this is exactly what I needed in order to embody these new codes. Well, they're not
Mhm.
new,
Mhm.
in order for me to step fully into this new timeline that
Yes,
I'm sitting in.
yes. Yeah,
Yes.
and the cool thing about it is, I'll just say, is that each step of this journey provides a lot of information. And
Mm.
so just in our lives, and for those of us who are teachers or guides or, support other people, and even if it's our families,
Yes.
that in each experience, there are takeaways that are really rich and for us. Because I can see each step of your journey now that I've been in your mastermind. These are what your body, paying attention to your body, paying attention to your process, all the different things, they become really important. So, you pack your bags sort of last minute and you get on that
Yes.
plane.
I
Mhm.
get on that plane.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. And one day early, because I wanted, to rest, because I'm a projector in human design. I don't know if your audience
Mhm.
knows what it means, but we amplify the energy of others. So we need rest, more rest than others. So I was like, oh, I need to rest because this is going to be like up and down, running here, running there. I need my rest.
Mhm.
So yes, I get on the plane with a big bag because when you pack not willingly, it's like, oh, just in case, just in case, just in case, just in case. So it was like, oh, kind of a punishment Now that I
Wow.
think of it, yeah, it's
Mhm,
like
mhm.
now you go because you messed up and you spent a lot of money. Now you go and
Right, right.
right? Yes, that was me.
So it struck me that when you got to your destination, you gave yourself the time, you gave yourself that gift, you're saying. But then I liked how you pointed out that the universe was taking care of you in certain ways, and that you had a room that was separate from where everyone else was staying. And I that was remarkable to me because that says something to me about like this independence or this sovereign self, or like we're going to give Melanie this space that's her own to process. Maybe it was even an energetic, almost like separation. Yeah. Mhm.
I think it's part of the expectations that you have around life. You know how people say you create your own reality? I think that's true 100%. So for me, I expect to be protected at all times. Like the universe is always protecting me. And the universe is always giving me resources for me to get the best opportunities and to get the best deals and to get the best out of life. I used to not think like that, by the way, but now I do. So yes, it was so beautiful. Like everybody, including the mentor, was on the right side of the hotel, and me, I was on the left side of the hotel at the end
Wow.
of the hall. So I was
Yeah,
like,
that's
oh,
crazy.
this is very interesting.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
every single hotel that we went to, it was like that. Everybody was on that one side,
Yeah.
and I was on the other side, like very far away from the group.
Mhm.
Yes, I think the universe was telling me something, or it was just like, this is expected. Like, oh, yeah, I am not part of the mold.
Mhm, mhm.
So,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. There's a reason for this that's coming.
yeah.
So, the first day, I remember you telling me last week by the second day your antenna was up, but did you
Yeah.
began to enter into the retreat experience and meet this group of women and begin. So,
Yeah.
what was happening for you sort of internally during that time?
Well, the first thing that you need to know about me is that I love pretty quickly. I like people, and then I feel love for people. It's just like I love people.
Mhm.
Even sometimes even when they're shitty, but that's another story. Anyway, I meet this wonderful women, and I'm like, oh my God, they're amazing, and they're so intelligent, and they're so pretty. I saw them, everybody was pretty for me. So I was like, oh, I don't want nothing bad to happen to any of them.
Great.
Right away, right? So I've been in the event industry for over 20 years, and I've done events in over 65 countries in the world. So that is like in my sleep. I can do that in my sleep.
Yeah.
So if we go in a tour or we go in an excursion, in my head, because up to my standards, we only always have a leader, one in the middle, and one closing the group for
Okay.
safety, right?
Mhm,
But no
mhm.
one was closing the group.
Mm.
So I went to the back and closed the group. It was nothing for me, like it was no effort. I like the women. I know how to do it.
Mhm.
And, you know, I won't get lost. Nothing can
Right.
happen to me,
Yeah,
right?
it feels almost instinctual that you
Yes.
just did that. Yeah.
Yes. So the fact that I don't feel safe in an environment makes my antenna go up.
Mhm,
It's survival,
mhm,
survival skills. The only, actually, the only person that I turn my brain off is with my husband. So it's
mm,
like I'm a
mhm.
dumb person, like talking with him because I
Right.
know he has,
Yeah.
the exits and everything.
Mhm,
So I'm like,
mhm.
oh, I can relax because he's going to take care of us. No bear
Yeah.
is going to eat us. Uh,
Right. Otherwise.
otherwise, otherwise I would be like, dun, 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 where are the
Yeah.
exits and da, 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 where can I
Mhm,
jump?
mhm.
So that's my hypervigilance, which made me a great event planner,
Yes.
event coordinator, etc.
Mhm,
So the fact that I was not feeling safe, I was like, this is not good. I judged it because it
mhm,
was a
mhm.
judgment. It was like, this is not up to the standards of the price I'm paying
Right.
in
Yeah.
my head. But then I was like, yeah, but probably she is charging not for the retreat itself, it's just
Mhm.
charging for her, for her brilliance or whatever. So I shut down my thoughts, right?
Yeah.
But I was still wary of, my survival antennas. And then maybe that's also another thing that made me different from the group, because my expertise in that field was
Right.
telling me that she was lying. So every
Mm,
time that she would say, like, "Oh, I cannot believe that this is happening. They did it." I'm like, no, they cannot
mhm.
do it, because there is no way a planner will ever plan something without the client's signature.
Right, right. Okay.
So I was
Mhm.
like, no, that cannot be.
Yeah.
No, that is not true.
So a
So,
lot of outward projection.
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
exactly. So I was
Uh-huh.
like more weary, more antennas
Mhm.
up.
Mhm.
So that was happening for me
And
really
so
early. Yes.
and did something then happen when you closed out that back of the line
Oh,
where
yeah. Yeah. She did. We came out of the place, the archaeological site, and still in the group, she didn't bring me out to say it to me in private. In front of the whole group, she said to me something like, how they talk, like you're like darling sort of thing. She didn't use those words, but she was like, darling, I want you to be aware that what you're doing is not allowing the people that were hired to come to the standard that they were hired for. So I'm going to ask you that, even though it's your expertise, that you stop doing that. And I'm like, okay. Instead of, like, in that moment, I remember saying, like, F you, instead of saying, like, thank you, and then
Right.
do da da
Yes.
da da da, I will
Mhm.
deal with this, because,
Mhm.
I hired people to do that. It was like, you're interfering with what I am doing, so don't do it. Don't you dare
Mhm.
do it. But, like in a passive aggressive
Right,
tone.
right.
And my body knows passive aggressiveness way too well. And it
Yeah.
was like, F you.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then I went to the front of the row, and I was like, okay, I'm going to close the empathic thing. You're right. It is not my job to
Mm,
take care of
mhm,
the group. It is
mhm.
your job, right?
Right.
And I'm like, everybody here is an adult. They can take care of themselves. And I was like, oh, this is what getting out of the savior paradigm
Okay.
thing is.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
Right, right.
yeah,
Yeah.
part
So,
of,
yeah, that reminds me too, because when we were talking, you said that these elements of what you saw as covert manipulation start to enter in. So when I think of that experience you just shared with kind of being admonished in front of a group is like what comes to me is this woman over here is she is more of a leader. We're going to kind of keep her quiet. Or with the other woman being onlookers to that, sort of shaming someone in front of a group, it feels to me like there could be an intention to keep people quiet, keep people small, keep people in fear. I mean, is that sort of some things that you felt about it, or is that accurate?
yes, it is very accurate. It's kind of making you doubt of what
Okay.
you're doing. And
Mhm,
if you have, depending on the wounds that you have, or the triggers from past trauma,
mhm.
and if this is a mentor that you talk about trauma with, and they use that information as weapon to trigger your trauma response, to
Yes.
diminish you and to make you doubt. Doubt is like kryptonite for
Mhm, mhm.
us, I think both men and women. So if I would have started doubting about myself, which I didn't, because I was being managed, or
Mhm.
felt that I was doing something wrong, then I would have belittled. But
Yes.
because I was very rooted in my truth, I was like, I was doing this with love,
Yeah, oh,
and
yeah.
and I get paid for
Mhm.
this. And I didn't even get a thank you.
Right.
That gets my visceral reaction, right? It's like,
Mhm,
okay,
mhm.
again, my body knew.
Yes,
I
yes.
was still with my antennas, but I was like, it's okay, right?
Mhm, mhm,
But then it was like, okay, things like, would somebody please care to bring me my coffee with almond milk and natural blah, blah, blah. Like, kind of, she expected us to go and milk the cow so that it was fresh for her. And I was like, wait a minute. We are paying you to be pampered, not paying to be your servants.
mhm.
And again, because of my expertise, I was like, every time I do an event, I bring an assistant and a shadow. The assistant does whatever I require to be the best in whatever
Mhm,
I'm doing. And my shadow is to be like, oh, please carry this, or please run and get me that. Like a runner,
mhm.
people
Yep.
are taking care of me
Mhm.
because I don't want my clients to take care of me.
Yeah, and
I am
then
taking care
yeah,
of my clients. And then I have
right.
staff that
Yes.
takes care of my clients when I need to rest or when I'm not around, right? So
Okay.
I
Yes.
can relax because everything is taken care of,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
my clients.
I think it's important what you're saying is the what set you apart on this experience was not only your inner work and your experiences that you had, but your job as being a wedding planner and a coordinator extraordinaire, and that you knew all these different elements of it. So it seemed like it was extra, like, wait a minute, something's off here.
Yes.
Like this is not the way something is done. Mhm.
And you know what? On top of that, the standards. So let's take the event planning expertise and let's go to these standards as a woman, the kind of woman I am.
Yeah.
She would tell us not to allow the bellboy to help us with our luggage because they are infiltrators and they would put some devices on our luggage and things like
Mhm.
that, like conspiracy theories. And I would be like, heck no, I am not going to carry my luggage. I am not
Right.
going to hurt my back just because the bellboy is like a deceiver. Like, I am not that important for people to come and put things on my luggage. I got myself down to earth, but at the same time, like very diva
Yeah.
behavior. Like, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, ladies. I'm going to bellboy, come pick me, help me with my luggage, take me with your car to my to. I
Yeah.
was
Mhm, mhm, and you're reminding me, so as these days progressed, this element of fear of people on the outside, or this idea that go into that a little bit because you just alluded to it, like, these bell men, are up to something shady and fearful.
everybody.
Okay.
Everybody. She started talking about how to recognize an intruder or a shapeshifter. But it was like, be wary of the women with babies that are not doing anything. And I'm like, what? Why?
Right, right.
Be wary of the men that are like this and that and that, if they have this and that. And then I remember saying, like, wait a minute. I am like that, and I am not a deceiver.
Mhm, mhm.
I do that and I am not a deceiver. Like, I was internalizing what she was writing and I was
Right.
like, wait a minute. I do sometimes like that. Or I
Yeah.
would be like, my dad used to do that, or my mom or my husband, or like, we're not deceivers.
Yeah.
We're not
Mhm.
out of this world. We're trying to conquer the world and kill humans. Like, no. So those things, like the planner was a deceiver, our
Mm.
local guy was a deceiver, that they were trying to poison our food, that they were selecting these places so that we get poisoned or that we would get attacked. And I would be
Okay.
like, we're not that special. I knew that I was not that special to be persecuted through the
Yes.
world.
And was that based in this sort of spiritual mission that this group was on, that you were doing, I'm just going to ask a question, like that you were doing this sort of light work or this expansion work, that
Yes.
the darker side or the deceptive side would be
Yes.
after to shut down. Hmm.
Now I'm laughing, like now I'm laughing. Yes. It was like because you are of the light,
Okay.
you're going to be persecuted, which we know that that's the witch wound, right? Like the wizard
Hmm.
wound, the ancestral wisdom wound. So if you have that you're afraid to be seen because of your intuition or your
Hmm.
medicine that you bring forward, then that is the perfect trigger. Like, stop being the light, go in hiding because people are going to persecute you and try to kill
Right.
you, which
Right.
was the next phase of her storing fear within us. She was telling us that somebody was trying to find us, that they knew that we were in that country, and that their intention was to kill us.
Unbelievable. Truly.
Now,
Yeah.
imagine we're all women in
Hmm.
this group. We're in a foreign country. Nobody speaks the language, not even me, that I'm a polyglot.
Hmm.
So it was like, and we could not talk to the guide because she was a deceiver, according to her. So imagine the fear that can get into someone knowing that you cannot ask for help, that you
Hmm.
cannot trust anyone to ask
Hmm.
for help. We were not even allowed to talk to each other, to question like,
Wow.
what are we going to
Right.
do? She would get like,
Hmm. Hmm.
and have you seen The Terminal with Tom Hanks? He gets stranded on the airport of New York and
Okay.
he cannot go outside. I
Oh,
got
yeah.
I got
Okay.
like that in Ras Al Khaimah, which is in the Arab Emirates. I didn't talk Arab, and I was
Mhm.
there detained for 3 days because I
Wow.
didn't have a visa. So I was like, "This is nothing. Like I can
Mhm.
survive this.
Mhm.
No kidding. Like But yes, that is freaking terrifying." And then she would show us evidence like, look what they are trying to do to me. They are trying to get this so that they can get into my room, whatever. That is
Mhm.
installing fear and paranoia
Yeah.
in an exhausted body that has
Mhm.
lack of sleep and lack of food. You start believing if you allow it.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Because I
In
remember you saying that even the food could be dangerous. That it could be poisoned, or, we can't eat that. So you're running on no sleep. You're running on a lot of this mental, I would imagine, kind of chatter.
I did eat.
Mhm.
I did drink and I did eat, so I was not hungry. And because I was, again, in the event industry for so many years, I could stay awake with no sleep for up to 11 days. So that was nothing for me either. So it's
Right.
like, oh, I
Right.
can deal with this. But
Yes.
the other women were getting like DC and
Mhm.
paranoid, like that's not healthy.
That's
Oh, and she started teaching us how to hit someone to knock it out, to defend ourselves,
Mhm.
which then will make me not do something because I was like, oh, what if they just kick me to death and then just
Right,
dispose
right.
of my
Yes,
body?
yes. Well, it's truly unbelievable, and I think that even for our listener today to be like, "Oh my gosh, these women were someplace where fear was being installed every day, where they felt isolated, where they were kinda isolated from one another." Because what were you just mentioned, the women you were with, was there anyone that was sort of, you seemed very aware to the degree you were. Was there anyone else that you could, catch their eyes or pull to the side or anything where you knew that they were also concerned?
No, at the beginning, no, because, on the first 5 days, I was like, definitely this is not for me, but you do you,
Right.
right? I am very respectful of people.
Mhm,
And just because I don't agree with something doesn't mean that it's right or wrong, right?
mhm,
So
mhm.
I'm like, okay, this is definitely not for me. I can do until the end of the journey. but this is it for me.
Right. Yeah.
But before it got scary, it started getting like really scary for me when she implied that she was Christos. She said that, like,
Mm,
for you probably know that I am Christos. I'm like, what? No, you're not. And probably I was not the only one that doing the face like, what are you talking about? And then she
yeah.
said, well, you know what I mean, the energy of Christos. And then of course it was like, this is not the energy of Christos. This is not
Mm,
the energy of Christos. Installing fear
mhm,
is not the energy of Christos. Like,
mhm.
no, 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 no.
And that you were the disciples.
Oh, yes, because magically we were 12 plus her. So we were
Mhm,
12 plus the leader who was installing fear. The leader was installing fear. The leader,
mhm.
in my head, at least, the leader brings you to calm even when you are in uncertain times. So let's say we're at war, right? And
Mhm,
there might be a possibility that we get killed at war, right?
mhm.
But then your leader says, we will fight for our country and it's going to be worth dying, or whatever they say, right?
Yeah.
They make you feel the empowerment of the cause that you're doing, not feeling fearful so that you don't move and you activate the fight, fly, or freeze
Uh-huh.
response.
Yeah, and what's coming to me too is one of the, I'm gonna say, like, positive or on your side ways that you were surviving is that you had told me, and it's almost like setting an intention. You said, I refuse to be spell cast. I noticed the lies, and I was hearing someone else's truth, and I had to filter that against my own truth. So I think that's an important part of your story where there were, when we do set intentions about what we want our experience to be or what we're proclaiming our experience to be. That kind of jumps out at me because I feel like a refusal to be spellcast, to know that someone else's indoctrination was not going to take command over you. I don't know. There were things coming from with you that were
Yes.
survival. Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be very liberating for people who listen to this, and some other might hate me for this. I don't care. So, spell casting is just a thing that you say that your subconscious believes. So, you can spell cast yourself every day if you want and rewire your thoughts to the reality that you want to live, right?
Okay.
In the
Mhm.
positive, you can do that, and it's great. Like, oh, I want to be abundant or become the owner of my own empire, whatever, right? And then you spellcast yourself every day, like, yes, of course I can. Yes, I can do it. Yes, I am very intelligent. I'm going to get the best opportunities. You can spellcast yourself. You can allow other people to spellcast you only if what they are saying is part of what you already believe unconsciously.
Okay.
So, first, let's
Mhm.
say that.
Mhm.
If we say that somebody else spell casted us and then we wash our hands, that is bypassing. That is
Okay.
avoiding our own responsibility on the things that we are doing, and we are not owning the power that we have to make things better for us, whatever that is in our lives. So, said that, for me, it was like, even though you're my mentor, I'm paying you to teach me stuff. I will not allow your truth to be my truth because I am rooting myself in my truth. The intention was not to be not spellcasted, but to remain in my truth,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
to
Mhm.
remain rooted, because it was, I don't know how many years ago, I wrote down the goal is to become so strong on the inside that nobody can affect my inner well being without my conscious permission.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
get, I get,
You're right. Yeah, I know. Like goosebumps. Yeah.
yes, I get
Mhm.
goosebumps It was years ago, but that stuck in me because, at that moment it was like, you are telling me not to trust my knowing. You are telling me to trust the awareness, but the awareness that you want me to be aware of.
Hmm.
And I'm like, no, that awareness that you want me to see, it's not my reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is not my truth. Like she would be like, don't allow to be distracted. So she implied that if there was a pregnant woman that wanted a seat, to not give the seat. If there was an old lady that wanted help, to not help her. And I was
Hmm.
like, that is not me. That is not who I am. I am
Wow.
going to help the
Yes.
old lady.
Yes.
I am
Yes.
going to help, like that's not who I am. She
Yeah.
was telling me not to be mean to the planner and to the local guide, and I was like, that's not me. I am
Right.
going to be nice to them because they are being nice to me. Like they're not being shitty.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And actually, when we were in one plane, we were flying from one part of that country to another. There was an old lady wanting to put her bag on top, in the cabin, and I helped her. And I was like, I am sorry if I get banned from this group, but
It's
I'm,
can't go against yourself.
yes,
Yes. And when we ended last week, that reminds me of when we talked about deception. And it's not about, that's why today we're not making it about the wrongness or badness of this mentor, in a sense, that you said you can't be deceived unless there's some deception of self going on. And those are those really kind of deeper layered things, but which come along with a quest of inner growth and understanding ourselves, then we can see with compassion that there are layers to that. And if we are deceived, there's nothing bad or wrong. It's just what is here to heal for us. But it sounds like the things that were being requested were letting go of your own integrity and your values. And that I think so many of us are put in that sometimes we have these scenarios where we do deceive ourselves in favor of another, and that
we do
you
it all the time.
yeah, we do it all the time. Mhm.
Just let's take this context out of the circumstance that it was. Like, I went in a retreat to this foreign country and it got cuckoo.
Right.
Not woo, cuckoo, right? And she kidnapped us in the way that I see it, because that was kidnapping for dummies. But let's say that we go into our inner childhood, and then all the
Mm.
times that we justified a behavior just to be nice, just to avoid conflict, just to not be expelled from the clan, just
Mhm.
to maintain the friendship, just to be looked at. That is us deceiving us. Every time that we accept a societal reality, and I know this to be true because, in my country, I thought that one thing was like a sin. And then I went on to go and live in another country and it was perfectly fine and normal. And I'm like, what? That
Right.
could get me like,
Mhm.
into
Ban.
sinful camp, yes, and ban out of this out of society and be
Mhm.
called names like a whore or whatever. And in this other countries, like the normal expression of a healthy
Yeah.
woman.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
yes, and we do the same. We can blame. Like in this case, I could have blamed the mentor for
Oh,
trying
yes.
to
Mhm.
manipulate me, or
Mhm.
by manipulating me, or by tricking me into going like, no, 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 she did not trick. I went
Right.
on voluntarily.
Yes.
We do that with our parents. Oh, because my mom gave me the silent treatment, I am now accepting this horrible treatment from my husband because blah, 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 blah. So I blame my mother. Like, no, 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 no,
Mhm.
no.
Mhm.
She was
Mhm.
also a kid with traumas and she did the best that she could. And my interpretation of what she did was what caused the trauma inside of me. It was not my mom causing the trauma. And by
Right.
the
Right.
way, it's just an example. I am grateful for my mother for bringing up the woman I am because I am proud of who I am. But that
Mhm.
is the thing, either we go into drama, 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 suffering, suffering, suffering. Oh, I blame you because thanks to you, now I'm in this shitty state. Or, like, for me, as soon as I came back, you know what was my revenge party? Making freaking money. I was like, I'm not going to get it through PayPal or through her, of course, because she will deny it that she was wrong.
Mhm. Mhm.
Not that she was, but I was like, I'm going to get my reimbursement for this shitty, what I think it was a shitty experience by getting it somewhere else. That was my
Mhm.
revenge
Mhm.
party. Like, you're
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
going to tame me. You're not going to break me. I am free to decide and to be in joy, even
Wow. Mhm.
in this context that could be hugely traumatic and
Yeah.
hugely PTSD'd, you know?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But that is what makes people go further in business. Business are like up and down, up and down, up and down, a lot of struggles and challenges, but it is the promise within you, like the commitment, like, oh no, I'm going to get it and enjoy. Like, this is not traumatic. This is, I want to do it. I want to
Mhm.
accomplish it.
Mhm.
I dream of it. And I,
Mhm.
I am
Mhm.
I'm not going to listen to anybody that says that it cannot happen because I know it can happen. It's the
Wow.
same.
Wow. And so this experience, it's almost like all these lessons or opportunities, whatever you call them, they were coming through on a loudspeaker, like a megaphone, and almost as if we're going to really catch her attention this time to look at all these different parts of herself. And that's fascinating when they come through just so loud.
Do
Mhm.
you want to do you want to hear my gift? My
Yes.
biggest gift on this
Yes.
trip? I used to doubt about my intuition because, I can see things and I can see it feels like it's further in the future, but I can see it for my clients and for me, and I would doubt. I would
Mhm.
doubt that voice of like innovation, like, no, 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 this is not true, or no, this is not right, or this is not right for me. But after this experience, even though this mentor tried to shut me down because she would be implying that I was wrong, like she would call me Panther. Panther,
Mhm.
what do you see? And I'm like, I see nothing. And she would be like, oh yeah, that's normal because you're tired, that you don't see nothing. And I'm like, no, I don't see nothing that you're saying. But she
Yes.
would she
Mhm.
would shut me down, and I would be like, no, I'm not going to doubt myself. I'm not going to doubt my inner knowing. I'm not going to doubt my truth.
Wow.
So the biggest gift of this experience was that, like, there is nothing in this world, not even a meteorite, nothing that will separate me ever again from my truth and from my
Mhm.
knowing.
Mhm.
Ever.
Mhm. Mhm.
I
Yeah.
could not have ever invested in a course to teach me that, ever.
Right. Yes. I know. I There's so many walkaways. I was thinking of like when we ended last week, it was that there was the promise of this, and then I walked away with this. And I think we ended last week with like the answers were within you all along. And it's sort of like they can be buried and they can just gradually the layers of soot and muck and dirt coming off of them. But that almost like internal gold or diamond or whatever it is, it's just becoming it has more clarity all the time. And it struck me last week too, that culmination of the event that happened in the end when fear was really instilled and you were all within a room and doors were barricaded and all the things that you also kind of went within and not only pretended to sort of be asleep while you were gathering information about what was going on with you, but you were able to also reach within to send loving kindness and compassion to the women in the room. And just can you say a bit about that? Just because I believe that in that transfer of energy, of the compassion, no matter if you're seeing around you still people kind of going with this program going along, that does matter, that can affect the world around us.
Yes, it definitely can. What was happening is I was not understanding what was happening and what was the intake. Like the promise was of joy, and I got fear. Not that I
Mhm.
got the fear because, I'm Mexican. It's very hard to make us fear something because, we come from Mexico.
Right.
But going into that room and seeing the density of the air, I was just like, I don't know what she's intending me to do, but I didn't come here to kill anything. Like
Yeah.
the Star
Mhm.
Wars, whatever she wanted us to do. I was like, this is not what I signed up for. So I would be like doing these bubbles of love light. I do believe that I am pure love and that the strength of my energy is very, very, very strong.
Mhm.
So I was like imagining these bubbles of light, and I would, start my own electromagnetic field, and then I would just send love, and I would be like, please, God, please, please, universe, please allow them to see, to
Mhm.
take off the veil from their eyes, please. And I would look at them, like try to make eye contact. And then if somebody would cross with me with the eye contact, I would be like, please wake up. Please see, please see, please see what this is, right? And
Mhm.
I remember that the mentor at one point said, like, she was raging about something. Like she would become very evil energy, right? And she would be like, does anyone here still doesn't believe what I'm saying? And I would do like this. She would not
Mhm.
see in my eyes that
Mhm.
no, not me. There's no. So I would be like covering my
Mhm.
eyes so that, because I think my eyes are always speaking what I feel. And then I was laying down to make believe that I was sleeping. And I was just like, I'm going to get through this. An opportunity will come and I will take it. Like I was talking to myself so that I could endure because I did wanted to go out. And oh, you know what's the metaphor? Have you ever seen a big elephant with a shackle, a little shackle? You know how powerful an elephant is? They can do like this and just like out of the
Snip
shackle,
it. Yeah.
but they don't.
Mhm.
That is
Mm.
exactly what was happening because the doors were unlocked. There were, heavy stuff guarding the door so that nobody could come in or go out. But there was no lock. We were not in actual shackles, but
Mhm.
nobody was moving. I was not moving because I didn't know if any of them were seeing what I was seeing or if in my intent to freedom, I was going to get pulled in by 12 women who were afraid to be killed, thinking
Anticipate
that I was a
that.
deceiver and then
Mhm.
just kick me to death and then
Mm.
dispose
Mhm.
of my body. But we were free to go. When I went to the police to do my thing,
Mhm.
and I was telling the police, like, oh, she kept us here without food and without air conditioning and da da da. The woman, it was a woman, thank God, because then I would be like even worse, my reaction. She was like, but there was no lock. No, there was no lock. So you could go out. Yes, but we couldn't. But there was no lock. And I was like, "Oh my God, I can see how this is just like this sounds like very bad."
Right. Mhm. It sounds
And
crazy, but yeah, but that was the truth.
there was
Mhm.
no illegality. It was not
Mhm.
criminal.
Yeah.
People can manipulate your head and they can put you in a room with no food, poor conditions, but it was on your free will. It is up to me to unshackle as well.
Yes. And
And
that
that
is
is the gift.
the freedom and the liberation, the
Yes.
unshackling. Yes.
And we have that at our disposals right now. Let's say that this mentor, it's a metaphor of life. What are the shackles you have right now that are in your head, not allowing you to proceed to what you desire in your heart?
To fully express. To feel safe.
to say
Mhm,
no, to
mhm.
walk out, to do the thing,
To make
to
your own
say the
decision.
thing.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yep.
to make the decision.
Mhm. And that idea of giving ourselves permission, it's like, don't wait for anyone else's permission, give it to yourself. And if it feels like an edge, then it's here for you to grow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And our only responsibility is to bring our body into safety, and not safety within somebody else, but within ourselves. That you can auto-regulate yourself without pushing, because at least for us women, and I think also for men,
Yeah.
we were taught to push through. But there's also this beautiful thing that we can teach our body, that it doesn't have to be always in a hurry in order to feel safe, to
Yes.
have
Yeah.
control in order to feel safe. You can feel safe even in the slow of your actions, even in the slow of your movements, even in the slow of your words. If you see, like, if you're scrolling on internet, and even the people that are telling you to regulate your nervous system, they're talking like this, they're super rapid, and you're like, whoa, 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 that's
Right.
dysregulating
Right.
my system, right?
Mhm.
But no, because we taught our body that if we rested, it was wrong. But that's again the punishment, like, you haven't deserved rest. If it was like a gift for
Mhm.
working hard.
Yeah, you haven't done enough. You haven't earned it.
Yes.
I feel there's, like, so many watershed moments along the way and what you learned, and I think in the aftermath of this experience, I know that you are now connected to some of these women. So was that a surprise gift that you couldn't have foreseen as well? That it wasn't I don't call it trauma bonding, but just that there were other souls on that retreat you were meant to meet and become part of their life's plan, it feels like?
Yes, if I would judge meeting this mentor as wrong and as stupid, can you imagine all the good and all the blessings that I would be not allowing myself to have, like you, because I met you through an acquaintance that I met through her.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that is a miracle per se. I was meant to be there. I was meant to meet this mentor. I was meant to go through this so that I could see the greatness of the aftermath.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
And
beautiful.
to link it to your before question, when we do things for ourselves, we are being this energy that invites others to rise to the occasion. When I stood up and I said, no, I'm not continuing with this group, I'm going to stay apart, they left, I stayed. There was another person who stayed with me, but she was not actually understanding what was happening until
Mhm.
I told her. And she was like, when did this happen? I was in my bubble. It's like your
Mm,
bubble saved you. But then after other women started questioning, it's like, what if this is not right? What if
right.
this is a lie? Because this woman started to try to put these women against their husbands, against their children, against their families. So they started questioning. And because,
Mm,
and I'm not saying that I was the ignition, but there was this proof that there was an unlinked, like, I stepped out. So it was like, what if she was right? So that allowed the other women to liberate themselves.
yes, yes. It reminds me, Mel, earlier when you were saying part of that, that this is sort of how humanity is too, where we have certain people rising up to speak for other, on behalf or in their, even if it's just like in their own truth. And more, they're just popping up while it seems like the masses are still asleep. But so your microcosm sort of to me is indicative of the macrocosm. But then in the aftermath with you rising and saying, "Well, I'm at least gonna stand in my own truth," then the others get to make decisions around that. but it's a very it can be a very powerful model, especially for women, of standing in our own truth. That kind of came to me. Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, because for me, and I believe this to be true for everybody, that when we see what we want in somebody else,
Yes.
that gets our attention. For
Mhm.
me, it was the representation. I'm Latin, I'm Mexican. So growing up, the representation was non-existent. It was all white people, right?
Mm, mhm.
Not that I am super dark, but
Right.
like you. And then there was a Mexican
Mhm.
in Hollywood, and I would be like, is that possible for me? Not that I wanted to be an actress or anything. It's like,
Sure.
oh, there's
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
possibility also for me.
Yes.
And then you start seeing your representation, and then you see like that woman that stands up to somebody. No,
Right.
I will not have. And you're like, "Oh, that can be done. I can do
Yes. Yeah.
that."
It's really powerful. Mhm.
I always tell this story of my husband. My husband comes from another country, so he has different cultural ideas and everything. So for me, it was like work, 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 serve your clients, no matter what, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I thought I was cured. But then I came here and I remember I was at his office and the phone rang. It was 5:01, 5 p.m. with 1 minute. And the phone rang. And I was like, aren't you going to answer? It's like, no, we're closed.
Wow. You're right.
And I was like, but it could be a client.
Mhm.
Like, well, then they can call tomorrow at 9.
Amazing. Right, right.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, I
You
can do
can
that?
do that? I was like,
Yeah,
oh
that's a
my
good
God,
example.
right?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. Oh, wow. Yeah, and it reminds me of when we were in the mastermind. I did a session with one of the women who's a quantum medical healer, and I think I came back to the group and I was like, "Oh my gosh, she seemed like such a high light frequency," and you all looked at me like, "Yeah, and Maureen, you can have that too." You're just seeing something in her that
Yes.
you think is a quality she has, and yes, it's unique to her vibration, but no, don't con yourself that that's not available to you. Mhm,
Well, that's the law of the mirror.
mhm.
Everything that you see in somebody else that you admire, it is within you. You're
Yeah.
seeing it because it is within you.
Yeah, which is the law of the mirror. It's a beautiful one. I love that.
Yeah.
I know we're circling towards the end. This has been such a good conversation. Can you tell the audience what happened for you, really almost exactly 1 year to the date of this retreat in your own world?
Yes, I created a retreat in the same kind of dates because I remember that I was having this experience during the Independence Day. So I was
In
like,
For Mexico. Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
And I remember that the day that she tried to kidnap us for the first time, that I ruined it, by the way, it was during the Independence Day.
Wow.
And I was
Mhm.
like, you're not going to take away my independence. We fought very hard
Mhm.
for it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So this year, I was like, my country was calling me to create a retreat. And it was special because usually I create retreats for other people, but I created this for me. I was just inviting other people to come and enjoy whatever I was creating for me. And it was like a complete circle because it was on the Independence Day. We have the Grito de Independencia, which we shout like, let's fight for our rights, let's fight for our independence, and this fire inside of us. So I brought this women. I invited you, so I invited very special people to join me. The volcano, the volcanic fire, the fire that wants to come out of, like,
Mm.
ah,
Mhm.
like shouting, and the fire of, I want the freedom, I want the independence. And then I brought them to La Malinche, which is a dormant volcano, for the silenced part of us to liberate that. So it was all about liberation, but it was also like a culmination of what happened last year. Like,
Wow. Mhm.
there is no way that I will allow nobody to take away my freedom. ever.
Mhm.
So that's what I did.
Oh, yeah, it's so beautiful. Congratulations on that, and I can't thank you enough for sharing everything today, Melanie. Is there anything I usually ask towards the end of the recording if there's anything coming through you or to you that's sort of, end cap to this conversation for the listener, for anyone listening, and someone on a path of reclaiming themselves?
Well, you were talking about you were making reference to the answers that are within yourself, right?
Mhm, mhm,
So I would tap on that to everybody that is listening. The answers are always within you. Your body knows before you, so pay attention what your body is telling you. And whenever you're trying to decide something for you, don't look outward, look inward, because inward is where the change exists, the change can produce. We are creators. We create life,
mhm,
literally. And if we doubt ourselves, we don't listen to us. But one of the things which is kind of paradox, the one thing that makes us believe more in ourselves is to start listening to ourselves, to start listening to our intuition, to start listening to what our body is asking for us in that given moment, and just trust it, listen to it. And the way to listen to it is to stop the noise, and that is slowing down. It doesn't need to be done today. It doesn't need to be done in order to be something. It doesn't have to be done to be worthy of. So those kind of noises, dim them down, just like you had a volume. Just imagine you have the volume thingy and you're lowering down the volume of that noise and just connecting to each part of you. And what is your body telling you? What is your heart telling you? What is your desire telling you that you want? And just allow the answers to come through you.
yeah. That's so pretty, thank you. I love every word of that, and, it reminds me of the journal that you said that you took out during the retreat that said, "Trust yourself," and that's where you recorded your experiences and also helped you get through everything, so thank you for being here for the second time. I know it won't be the last. I will leave in the show notes where people can find you or reach out to you, but thanks, Mel.
Thank you,
Mhm.
Maureen, for being who you are. You are such an amazing woman and such a bright light. I
Mm.
hope that, no, 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 I don't hope. I know that you are this huge light that is going to be the lighthouse of so many people, because
Ah,
your heart is so big and so
mm, thank you.
sugary. I love you so much, and I
And
couldn't think of
yeah.
anybody else to share this with. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And part of that, I think, for my own recipe of my journey is to keep on going within, keep on trusting myself, and surround myself with women who are standing in their truth and shining their light. And even if people feel like that's not me yet, then we are just holding that space for you, and it come with us.
Yes.
So, yeah, thank you. All right, and, to the listeners, thanks for being here, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening to this episode of Mystical Sisterhood. To learn more about my one-on-one coaching programs or join the Mystical Sisterhood membership, visit maureenspielman.com or mysticalsisterhood.com. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next episode.